I've seen deals die in boardrooms, killed by bad timing or greed, but never had I witnessed a 47 million contract destroyed by a single coffee shop conversation. One careless chat between a CEO's son and his buddy, overheard by the wrong person, triggered a cascade that brought down an empire, and I relegated to PowerPoint duty. Stripped of my voice, watched it all unfold from the shadows. They thought they'd buried me. They had no idea they'd handed me the shovel to bury them instead. My name is Sarah Mitchell, and for 12 years, I'd been the architect of our firm's most lucrative relationship. Rothwell Systems wasn't just our biggest client, they were my creation, my masterpiece. A 47 million annual testament to the power of understanding data and translating it into strategy. I'd nurtured that relationship from a modest $2 million pilot project into the cornerstone of our revenue. Every quarterly review, every strategic pivot, every crisis I'd been there, spreadsheets in hand, solutions ready before they even knew they had problems. The morning it all changed started like any other. Conference Room A, 9th floor, the Manhattan skyline glittering behind floor-to-ceiling windows. I'd arrived at 6:30 a.m. to perfect my presentation one last time. 73 slides of meticulously researched market analysis, competitive intelligence, and strategic recommendations for Rothwell's Q3 expansion, each data point verified 3 times, each projection backed by historical patterns and emerging market indicators. At 8:45 a.m., the room began filling, Marcus from finance, Jennifer from operations, the usual suspects. Then, 15 minutes before we were supposed to start, Ethan Walker strutted in. The CEO's son had been with us exactly 6 weeks, fresh from his MBA, still wearing it like a Medal of Honor. He'd been installed as Deputy Director of Business Development, a position created specifically for him. In those 6 weeks, he'd contributed nothing but disruption, questioning processes he didn't understand, dismissing strategies he couldn't comprehend. "Sarah," he said, not looking up from his phone, "I'll be leading today's session." I felt the room shift. Marcus actually dropped his pen. "I'm sorry." I kept my voice level, professional. "This is the Rothwell Quarterly Strategy Review. I know what it is." He finally looked at me. That practiced smile his father probably paid some consultant to teach him. "Dad thinks it's time for fresh perspectives. Your analysis is..." He gestured vaguely at my laptop. "Thorough. But clients don't buy thorough. They buy vision. They buy energy." He pulled out his own laptop, chrome-plated and barely used. "I've prepared something more dynamic. You can run the slides for me." Run the slides. 12 years reduced to clicking a button on cue. "Ethan," I tried once more. "Rothwell specifically requested..." "They requested our best." He was already connecting to the projector. My carefully crafted presentation disappearing from the screen. "And starting today..." "That's me. Don't worry. Your work wasn't wasted. I incorporated some of your data points." "Some of my data points." I opened my mouth to respond when CEO David Walker entered, flanked by 2 board members. His eyes met mine briefly, no apology, no acknowledgement. Just a slight nod toward the chair in the corner. The chair by the slide controls. "Team," David announced. "Ethan will be taking point on the Rothwell account moving forward. He's brought some innovative ideas about repositioning our value proposition." Innovative ideas. I'd seen his innovation 2 days ago when he'd asked me to explain what Rothwell actually did. The technology infrastructure company he couldn't even properly describe was about to hear his vision for their future. I took my designated seat, fingers on the keyboard, and watched Ethan move to the front of the room. His first slide appeared a stock photo of a rocket ship with the text, "Launching into tomorrow," in impact font. My phone buzzed. A text from Jennifer. "Is this really happening?" I didn't respond. I was too busy watching 12 years of relationship equity prepare to go up in flames. But I clicked to the next slide when Ethan snapped his fingers at me, like summoning a waiter. "Now," Ethan began. His voice artificially deepened. "Let's talk about disrupting the disruption paradigm." Marcus was staring at the ceiling. Jennifer had started doodling. And I sat there, advancing slides filled with buzzwords and clip art, watching Ethan massacre every piece of strategic insight I'd carefully cultivated. But I smiled, clicked on cue, played the perfect supporting role, Because in that moment, as Ethan bungled basic terminology and confused Rothwell's core business with their smallest subsidiary, I realized something. He'd just declared war on the wrong person. He thought he'd won by relegating me to the corner. He had no idea what was coming. The humiliation from that morning still burned as I walked into Grounded, the artisanal coffee shop 3 blocks from our office. It was 2:47 p.m., that dead zone between lunch and the afternoon caffeine rush. I needed espresso and distance from the disaster I'd just witnessed. Ethan spending 2 hours butchering our quarterly review, while David Walker nodded approvingly at his son's fresh energy. The place was nearly empty. Perfect. I ordered my usual double shot, oat milk, no sugar, and found a corner table where I could review my original presentation, the one now buried beneath Ethan's PowerPoint atrocity. That's when I heard his voice. Dude, you should have seen their faces when I took over. Ethan's laugh carried across the quiet space. He was sitting at a table near the window, his back to me, Chrome laptop open, speaking to someone I recognized as his college roommate. Tyler something. They'd been out celebrating the night before I'd seen the Instagram stories. I froze, then slowly sat down 2 tables behind them, hidden by a decorative plant. Sarah actually thought she was running the meeting, Ethan continued. 12 years doing the same boring shit, and she couldn't see the writing on the wall. Dad's been wanting to push her out for months. My hand tightened on my coffee cup. Tyler laughed. So you got the big account. Rothwell Systems, $47 million a year. The number rolled off his tongue like he'd earned it. Honestly, they're kind of dinosaurs, still running infrastructure like it's 2015. Their whole cloud migration strategy is a joke. Sounds complicated. Nah, it's simple. They think they need all this technical analysis, but what they really need is someone to tell them they're amazing and promise them the moon. Sarah would send them these 100-page reports. I'm going to send them vibes. Vibes. Trust me, their COO, Laura something, she seems smart, but she's probably just another corporate robot who wants to feel innovative. I'll throw around some AI buzzwords, maybe mention blockchain, and watch them eat it up. The meeting's Thursday at their headquarters. He pulled up something on his laptop. Check this out, my presentation for them. Synergizing tomorrow's solutions today. Fucking brilliant, right? Tyler whistled. And they're paying $47 million for this. They're paying $47 million for confidence, for someone who speaks their language. Which is money and ego, bro, money and ego. He clicked through his slides. Look, I even found out their CEO, James Morrison, just bought a yacht, so I added a whole section about navigating uncharted waters. He'll love that shit. Isn't that, like, patronizing? It's strategic. Sarah would never think of it because she's too busy buried in Excel sheets. Did you know she actually wanted to talk about their server redundancy issues? In 2024, nobody cares about that boring technical crap. That's when I noticed him, the man at the table directly behind Ethan, wearing a navy suit and reading the Financial Times. He'd lowered his paper slightly, and I saw his face in profile. James Morrison, CEO of Rothwell Systems. My heart stopped. Morrison was listening to every word, his expression unchanged, occasionally sipping his black coffee. He'd been there when I walked in, I just hadn't noticed him. The best part, Ethan continued, oblivious, is that once I lock this down, Dad's making me senior VP. Sarah and her little data cult will be reporting to me by year end. What if they actually want the technical stuff? Then I'll have Sarah write it and put my name on it. That's what she's for now, back-end support. She can crunch numbers while I build relationships. Morrison carefully folded his newspaper, stood up, and walked past their table toward the exit. For one brief moment, his eyes met mine. He recognized me. We'd met dozens of times over the years. He gave the slightest nod, his expression unreadable, and left. Ethan never even looked up. I should go, Tyler said. Good luck with the big presentation. Don't need luck when you've got charisma, Ethan replied, closing his laptop. They left 5 minutes later, Ethan still talking about his plans to revolutionize the Rothwell relationship. I sat there, coffee cold, processing what had just happened. James Morrison, the man who'd built Rothwell from a startup to a $3 billion company, had just heard our newest executive dismiss his life's work as dinosaur technology. He'd heard Ethan call his COO Laura Vance, one of the sharpest minds in tech, a corporate robot. He'd heard everything. And Ethan had no idea. I picked up my phone and scrolled through my contacts. Found the name I wanted, Laura Vance. We'd worked together for 8 years. She'd mentored me, taught me that success wasn't just about having the right data, it was about knowing when and how to deploy it. I stared at her number for a long moment, then typed a simple message. Thursday's presentation isn't mine. 0 technical depth. Consider yourself warned. I hit send, finished my cold coffee, and walked back to the office. The war Ethan had started that morning was about to take an interesting turn. Laura Vance responded to my text within minutes. Coffee tomorrow, 7 a.m., usual place. The usual place was Meridian, a quiet breakfast spot downtown where we'd met monthly back when I first started managing the Rothwell account. Laura had taken me under her wing then, a rare female executive in tech who actually pulled other women up rather than seeing them as competition. I arrived at 6:45 a.m. Laura was already there. Corner booth, 2 laptops open, working through what looked like acquisition paperwork. She looked up as I approached, sharp eyes behind designer glasses. Silver hair cut in a precise bob that had become her signature. At 53, she commanded every room she entered without raising her voice. Sarah. She closed one laptop, gestured for me to sit. Your text was cryptic, very unlike you. Did Morrison mention yesterday afternoon? I asked, sliding into the booth. Her eyebrow raised slightly. He mentioned coffee, an overheard conversation, and that perhaps we should reevaluate our vendor relationships. Ethan Walker is presenting to you Thursday. Yes, I received that calendar update. Your name was notably absent. She studied me. After 12 years, suddenly you're not leading our quarterly review. The waiter brought coffee Laura had already ordered for me, remembering exactly how I took it. David Walker has decided his son needs a win, I said carefully. The Rothwell account is going to be that win. Is it now? Laura's tone was neutral, but I knew her tells the slight tightening around her eyes meant she was calculating something. You taught me something 6 years ago, I continued. When Preston Tech tried to poach the account, you said data matters. But relationships matter more. That trust, once broken, is nearly impossible to rebuild. I remember. You sent me that competitive analysis that showed exactly how Preston was planning to undercut pricing in year 2. She sipped her coffee. That was good work. Thorough, precise, the kind of analysis that actually protects long-term value. The kind Ethan calls boring technical crap. Laura's lips twitched slightly, the closest she got to a smile during business discussions. James mentioned that phrase specifically. We sat in silence for a moment. Laura was waiting another thing she'd taught me. Never fill silence just to fill it. Make them come to you. I've built something at your company, I finally said. 12 years of institutional knowledge. I know every system migration you've done, every security protocol, every pain point. I know why you chose AWS over Azure for your Eastern region, why the Singapore expansion needed different infrastructure, why you're really concerned about the server redundancy that Ethan thinks is irrelevant. And now that knowledge is being sidelined for what did James say, vibes and synergy, Thursday will be approximately 20 slides of stock photos and buzzwords. He'll mention blockchain at least once. AI will feature prominently. He's prepared a maritime metaphor because he heard Morrison bought a yacht. This time Laura did smile, briefly. The persistent vision. James hates that thing. His wife made him buy it. She pulled out her personal phone, typed something quickly. I'm forwarding your text to James. He should see what's coming. She paused. Sarah, I'm going to ask you something, and I need complete honesty. I nodded. If we pulled the contract tomorrow, what would happen to you? The question hung in the air. Laura never asked questions she didn't already know the answer to another lesson she taught me. I'd be blamed, I said simply. Ethan would say I poisoned the relationship. David would need a scapegoat. I'd be managed out within 3 months. And if we keep the contract but insist on working only with you, same result. Ethan can't fail, he's the crown prince. Any scenario where he doesn't win is a scenario where I lose. Laura leaned back, fingers steepled. You know, Rothwell is expanding. We're acquiring 2 smaller firms this quarter. Infrastructure is becoming more complex, not less. We need someone who understands that boring technical crap is what keeps the lights on. My heart rate quickened, but I kept my face neutral, another lesson learned. We're building out a new position, she continued. VP of Strategic Infrastructure, direct report to me. The salary is competitive, significantly more competitive than what David Walker pays you to be sidelined. Laura. I'm not offering yet. I'm simply observing that talent is scarce. Real talent. The kind that sees patterns in data, that understands systems, that can translate between technical reality and business necessity. She reopened her laptop. Thursday will be interesting. Ethan will present his vision. We'll listen. We'll take notes. We'll ask questions. What kind of questions? The technical kind, the detailed kind, the kind that require 12 years of institutional knowledge to answer. She pulled up what looked like an infrastructure diagram. For instance, why our Singapore servers show latency spikes every third Tuesday, or how we should approach the quantum computing initiatives for 2025, or the specific dependencies in our legacy systems that could create cascade failures. All things I'd documented extensively, all things Ethan wouldn't even understand as questions, let alone be able to answer. He'll have support, I said. He'll bring the technical team. Will he? From what I understand, he's quite confident in his ability to handle this alone. James might have heard something about not needing back-end support for relationship building. The waiter returned with breakfast Laura had ordered for me again, perfectly. Sarah, she said, cutting into her omelet, you've been loyal to a company that just showed you exactly how much that loyalty is worth. Consider Thursday a demonstration. Not for us, we know your value. For you, to see clearly who deserves your expertise. We ate in comfortable silence, the weight of unspoken plans settling between us. As we finished, Laura pulled out a business card, slid it across the table. Not her usual card. This one had just a phone number. My direct line, after Thursday. We should talk about the future, your future. I took the card, understanding passing between us. Thank you, I said, for everything, then and now. Don't thank me yet. Laura stood, gathering her things. Thursday hasn't happened, but when it does, remember you don't owe loyalty to people who see you as furniture. She left precisely at 7:45, off to her 8 o'clock. I sat there a moment longer, holding the card, thinking about 12 years of work, of relationships built, of expertise dismissed. Thursday would indeed be interesting. Thursday arrived with the kind of crisp October morning that made Manhattan's steel and glass look almost forgiving. I sat in the back of the black town car, watching Ethan in the front passenger seat rehearse his opening lines in the reflection of his phone screen. He'd insisted on arriving separately from the support team. Executives don't ride the bus, he'd said. I was the bus, apparently, along with Marcus and 2 junior analysts who'd been pulled in last minute when Ethan realized he might need some numbers or whatever. Rothwell Systems occupied floors 40 through 55 of a tower in the financial district. I'd made this trip hundreds of times, but today felt different. Today, I was furniture being delivered for Ethan's performance. Remember, Ethan said without turning around, I do the talking. If they ask technical questions, I'll loop you in, but keep it simple. These people don't want dissertations. Marcus shot me a look. These people included 3 PhDs in computer science and a former NASA systems engineer. The executive conference room at Rothwell was designed to intimidate floor-to-ceiling windows, a table that could seat 30, and a view that made you feel like you were floating above the city. James Morrison was already there, along with Laura and 4 other executives I recognized: CFO David Park, CTO Rebecca Martinez, Head of Infrastructure Tom Bradley, and someone I didn't know, youngish, taking notes on a tablet. Ethan, Morrison stood, offering a handshake that looked friendly but felt like an assessment. We're eager to hear your vision. I sat up at the side table with my laptop, ready to advance slides on command. Laura nodded at me, her expression perfectly neutral. The unknown person with the tablet looked up, and Laura introduced him. This is Alex Stern, our new acquisition integration specialist. He'll be sitting in. Ethan launched into his presentation with the confidence of someone who'd never faced real scrutiny. The rocket ship slide appeared. Then, disrupting the disruption paradigm. Then a slide with nothing but the word innovation in 72-point font. Rothwell Systems, Ethan declared, is ready for transformation. You've been successful with traditional infrastructure, but the future isn't about servers and systems. It's about vision. It's about breaking free from the technical weeds and seeing the bigger picture. Interesting, Morrison said. What specifically do you see in our bigger picture? Synergy, Ethan replied without hesitation. Cloud-first initiatives, blockchain integration, AI-driven decision-making. Blockchain, Rebecca Martinez repeated slowly. For our infrastructure, can you elaborate on the use case? Ethan's smile flickered. It's about distributed trust, decentralized authority. The technical specifics are less important than the strategic direction. I see, Rebecca made a note. And our current server redundancy architecture, how does that fit into this blockchain vision? Server redundancy is old thinking. Old thinking that prevented $14 million in losses during last month's East Coast outage, Tom Bradley interrupted. But please, continue. Ethan clicked to his maritime metaphor slide, a stock photo of a yacht that looked suspiciously similar to Morrison's. Like navigating uncharted waters. Let's talk specifics, Laura cut in smoothly. Singapore. Our Singapore infrastructure, we're seeing latency spikes every third Tuesday, affecting our Asian markets. Your analysis. Ethan's hand hovered over his slide remote. That's a very technical. It's a $17 million problem, Morrison said quietly. I'd assume our strategic partner would have insights. Sarah handles those details, Ethan said, gesturing vaguely in my direction. Sarah's not presenting today, Laura observed. You are. You're asking us to trust you with our future. So, Singapore. The room waited. Ethan clicked to another slide, more buzzwords. No substance. What about the quantum computing initiatives? Rebecca asked. How do you see us positioning for 2025? Quantum is definitely the future. Which quantum technologies, specifically gate-based or annealing, how do we handle the error correction rates? What's your recommendation on IBM versus Rigetti? Ethan was drowning. His confident smile had become a rictus grin. These technical specifics are exactly what we pay $47 million for. Morrison finished. Alex Stern looked up from his tablet. Mr. Walker, your slide mentions AI-driven decision-making. Can you walk us through how that integrates with our existing TensorFlow deployments? TensorFlow. Our machine learning framework. Surely you reviewed our technical stack. Laura pulled out a folder, my folder. I realized with a start. The original presentation I'd prepared. Sarah Mitchell sent me an interesting analysis about our infrastructure dependencies. 112 pages of boring technical crap. I believe you called it. The temperature in the room dropped 10 degrees. She identified 17 critical vulnerabilities, proposed solutions for each, and mapped out a 3-year quantum-ready transformation that would actually work with our existing systems. Laura opened the folder. But you're right. Mr. Walker, why would we want dissertations when we could have, what was it, vibes? Morrison stood. Ethan, I'm curious. When you were discussing our company at Grounded Coffee Shop yesterday, or was it Tuesday you mentioned we were dinosaurs, still running infrastructure like it's 2015? Do you know when we actually modernized our infrastructure? Ethan's face had gone pale. 2019. Complete overhaul. $800 million investment. Led by Sarah Mitchell's strategic recommendations. Morrison walked to the window. You also mentioned that our COO here probably just wants to feel innovative. Laura, do you want to feel innovative? I want competence, Laura replied. I want partners who understand that every minute of downtime costs us $90,000. I want people who know why the Singapore servers spike on Tuesdays, its batch processing overlap with Sydney. By the way, Sarah identified it 3 months ago. But we can adapt, Ethan stammered. We can bring in the right resources. You mean Sarah? Morrison turned. The person you just relegated to clicking buttons. The one whose 12 years of institutional knowledge you called back-end support. The new analyst, Alex, pulled something up on his tablet. I've been reviewing the historical account data. Sarah Mitchell has directly prevented 43 critical incidents, saved approximately 32 million in avoided downtime, and her predictive maintenance model has 94% accuracy. He looked at Ethan. What's your accuracy rate on predicting our needs? Ethan had no answer. He stood there, remote in hand, frozen on a slide about synergizing tomorrow's solutions today. I think we've seen enough, Morrison said. Thank you for your vision, Mr. Walker. We'll be in touch with David about next steps. It was a dismissal. Ethan gathered his things in silence. The chrome laptop that had seemed so impressive now looking like a prop. The junior analysts were already packing up, avoiding eye contact. As I closed my laptop, Laura caught my eye, the slightest nod toward her card in my pocket. The elevator ride down was silent except for the sound of Ethan breathing through his nose. His jaw clenched so tight I could hear his teeth grinding. The town car was waiting. He got in the front again, but this time he didn't practice anything. He just stared at his phone, watching his carefully crafted future dissolve. Marcus finally spoke as we pulled into traffic. That was not a word, Ethan snapped. Not one word. But words weren't necessary. Everyone in that car knew what we'd just witnessed, the comprehensive destruction of Ethan Walker's ambitions, executed with surgical precision by people who actually understood the business he'd tried to fake. My phone buzzed. Laura. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., my office. Bring your resignation letter. I deleted the message and looked out at the city passing by. Ethan was about to learn what $47 million actually bought. It wasn't vibes. Friday, 2 p.m. I sat in Laura's office on the 52nd floor of Rothwell Systems, my resignation letter in my bag, watching her finish a call with someone in Tokyo. The office was minimalist white walls, glass desk, a single orchid, and a view that made you feel like you owned the city. Sorry, she said, ending the call. Integration issues with the Yamamoto acquisition. Nothing your analysis didn't predict 6 months ago. She poured 2 glasses of water from a crystal pitcher. How was your morning at Walker & Associates? Ethan called in sick. David held an emergency partner meeting. The word restructuring was used 17 times in 10 minutes. 17, you counted? I always count. It's what I do. Laura smiled, a real one this time. Not her business smile. Yes, it is. Which is why we're here. She pulled out a folder. Thick with documents. VP of Strategic Infrastructure. Base salary, $300,000. Performance bonuses that could double that. Full benefits, equity package, and something I think you'll particularly appreciate, your own team. Handpicked by you. 3 times my current salary. I kept my expression neutral, but Laura knew. That's the standard offer, she continued. What I'm actually proposing is more interesting. We're acquiring 3 companies this year. Each one needs integration strategies, infrastructure analysis, security audits. You'd oversee all of it, not just maintaining what we have, but building what will become. She slid the folder across. Page 12 outlines the team budget. You can bring 2 people from Walker. I assume you have names in mind. I did. Marcus Chen and Jennifer Liu, the only 2 who'd ever bothered to understand the technical depths rather than just writing my work. There's one condition, Laura said. We announce Monday. Rothwell is terminating the Walker contract effective immediately. David will know you're leaving at the same time he loses $47 million in revenue. He'll try to sue, non-compete clauses. Our legal team is very good. They've already reviewed your contract. Your non-compete specifically excludes clients who terminate services. Since we're terminating, not poaching, you're free to accept employment. She leaned back. David Walker wrote that loophole himself to protect against his own employees leaving for failed clients. Ironic. I opened the folder, scanning the terms, everything she'd said and more. Authority to build systems from the ground up, direct access to Morrison and the board. No Ethan types between me and the work. Why, I asked. You could hire anyone. MIT graduates. Silicon Valley stars. Because you've spent 12 years learning our business from the outside. You know our weaknesses better than we do. And because, she paused, choosing words carefully. Loyalty should be rewarded, even if we're not the ones who earned it first. This will destroy Ethan. Ethan destroyed Ethan. We're just declining to save him from himself. Laura pulled out another document. There's more. The analyst yesterday, Alex Stern, he's building a predictive AI team, wants you as an advisor. The quantum computing initiative Rebecca mentioned. You'd be leading the infrastructure preparation. Tom Bradley is retiring next year. You'd be on the succession planning committee. It wasn't just a job. It was everything I'd built myself to become, offered by people who actually understood its value. I need to ask, I said. Tuesday at the coffee shop. Did you know Morrison would be there? Laura's expression didn't change. James likes that shop. Goes every Tuesday and Thursday. Same time. Has for 3 years. Interesting that Ethan never bothered to learn his clients' routines. Not a confession, but close enough. The 2 analysts I want to bring, Marcus and Jennifer. When should I approach them? This weekend would be good. We'll have offers ready Monday morning. She stood. Walked to the window. Sarah, I need you to understand something. This isn't charity or revenge. Rothwell needs someone who sees infrastructure as more than just keeping servers running. Someone who understands that boring technical details are what separate functioning companies from digital disasters. And Walker. David Walker treated expertise as expendable. His son treated competence as optional. They're about to learn that $47 million a year bought them more than they ever understood. She turned back. Your resignation letter. May I? I handed it over. She read it 2 sentences. Formal, effective immediately. Perfect. HR will process your start date for November 1st. That gives you a week to wrap up at Walker. She smiled slightly. Try not to look too happy when David realizes what's happening. We shook hands firm, professional, final. One more thing, Laura said as I reached the door. Ethan's presentation. We recorded it. For training purposes, of course, to show our junior staff what happens when confidence exceeds competence. Of course. Welcome to Rothwell. Sarah, we've been waiting for you. I left through the main lobby, past the security desk, where my visitor badge was exchanged for an employee ID already prepared. Temporary, until the permanent one arrived. The security guard smiled. Welcome to the team, Ms. Mitchell. Outside, I stood on the sidewalk where I'd stood 100 times as a vendor, a supplier, an outsider looking up at the tower. Monday, I'd walk through those doors as something else entirely. I pulled out my phone, 2 texts to send. First, to Marcus. Dinner tonight. Have something to discuss. Bring Jennifer. Second, to my personal email. I forwarded Laura's direct number. Then I deleted it from my phone. No traces, not yet. 3 blocks away, I passed Grounded Coffee Shop. Through the window, I could see the table where Ethan had destroyed his future with his own words. The table where Morrison had heard everything. I didn't go in. I had plans to make, a team to build, and a new future to construct from the ruins of the old. David Walker was about to wake up Monday morning to discover that his biggest client and his best strategist had disappeared simultaneously. Ethan would learn that competence wasn't optional after all. And I would be exactly where I'd earned the right to be, not through revenge or manipulation, but through 12 years of being right, over and over, until the right people finally noticed. The sweet part. They'd never see it coming. They'd been too busy looking at rocket ship slides to notice the infrastructure crumbling beneath their feet. Sunday night, 11:47 p.m. I sat at my home office desk, laptop open, resignation letter on the Walker & Associates HR portal, waiting for 1 click. Send, that's all it would take. 1 click at midnight, and it would be in David's inbox when he woke up Monday morning. I'd spent the weekend methodically preparing. Dinner with Marcus and Jennifer had gone exactly as expected. They'd both received Rothwell offers by Saturday afternoon. Jennifer had actually laughed when she saw the number. Marcus had just nodded, like he'd been waiting for this moment as long as I had. Clean out your desk Sunday night. I'd told them. Take only personal items. Leave no traces of current projects. Now, 3 minutes to midnight, I reviewed my own extraction. 12 years of work, and all that truly mattered fit on a single encrypted drive: my personal notes, analyses I'd done on my own time. Nothing that legally belonged to Walker. The company laptop sat beside me, wiped clean except for standard software. My desk at the office held only corporate-issued supplies and a dying succulent Ethan had once called depressing. 11:59 p.m. My phone buzzed. Laura, ready. I typed back, sending now. 1200 a.m. Monday, October 16th. Click. The email disappeared into the digital ether. No explanation. No gratitude for 12 years. No transition plan. Just, effective immediately. I resign from my position at Walker & Associates. Sarah Mitchell. 15 seconds later, Marcus's resignation hit. Then Jennifer's. 3 surgical strikes in under a minute. I closed the laptop, poured myself a glass of wine, and waited. At 12:07 a.m., my personal phone rang. Jennifer. It's done, she said. Maintenance is already asking why I'm in the office. Told them I forgot something. Leave your keycard on the desk, I said. Don't badge out, just let security know you're leaving and won't be back. Already did. Marcus is here too. We're walking out together. I smiled in the dark. See you at Rothwell tomorrow. 10th floor orientation, 9 a.m. The next call came at 5:43 a.m. David Walker. I let it go to voicemail. Then again at 5:45, 5:48, 5:52. At 6:00 a.m. sharp, a text, "We need to talk, now." I deleted it without responding. By 6:30 a.m., the calls were coming every 3 minutes. I blocked the number, then blocked the office line, then Ethan's cell. One by one, I severed 12 years of connections with clinical precision. At 7:15 a.m., an email to my personal account from David. Subject line, "Urgent legal action pending." I forwarded it to Rothwell's legal team without opening it. At 8:00 a.m., I walked into a Starbucks near Rothwell, not grounded. Never again grounded, and ordered a simple black coffee. While waiting, I checked LinkedIn on my phone. 3 messages from Walker employees asking if I was okay, if something had happened, if the rumors were true. I didn't respond. At 8:47 a.m., standing outside Rothwell's building, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. I almost deleted it, then saw the preview. "This is Ethan, please." I opened it fully. "Please call me back. I know you're angry, but this is destroying everything. My father is losing his mind. The whole company is in chaos. You win. Okay, you win. Just tell us what you want." What I wanted was already mine. A new badge with my photo and VP Strategic Infrastructure printed below my name, an office on the 52nd floor, a team that understood the difference between PowerPoint and actual strategy. I deleted Ethan's message and walked through Rothwell's doors. The security guard from Friday smiled. "Good morning, Ms. Mitchell. Elevator banks C through F will take you to the 10th floor." The orientation room held 7 new hires, 2 fresh graduates, 3 mid-level transfers, 1 senior engineer from Google, and me. Marcus and Jennifer were scheduled for the afternoon session. HR had been thorough. "Welcome to Rothwell," the HR director began. "You're joining us at an exciting time. We've just terminated a long-standing vendor relationship that wasn't meeting our evolving needs, which means you'll be part of building something entirely new." Someone asked, "Which vendor?" "Walker & Associates, effective this morning." I kept my face neutral as phones around the room buzzed with the news. $47 million, gone. The announcement would hit the business press by noon. My new phone, Rothwell issued, delivered to my apartment Saturday, showed 17 missed calls from blocked numbers. They were probably cycling through every phone in the Walker office, trying to find one I hadn't blocked yet. At 10:30 a.m., orientation paused for break. I stepped onto a terrace on the 10th floor, Manhattan spreading out below. My personal phone buzzed once more, another unknown number. This time, the text preview showed, "Sarah, it's David. Please understand." Delete. I turned off the personal phone entirely, slipped it into my bag. Sarah Mitchell, the Walker & Associates senior strategist who'd spent 12 years building their biggest client relationship, was gone. Vanished between midnight and dawn, taking 2 of their best analysts with her. What remained was Dr. Sarah Mitchell, the PhD,